Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. And I will pass it over to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hunter. Appreciate it. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Happy Black History Month, which is every day, people, every day. And so we're just going to be talking about probably some of the ones of the celebrities that we'll talk about, of course, that are out there and doing some really incredible entrepreneurial work, are also some of our favorite Black musicians and actors and NBA players and so forth that are out there just really changing the whole view of how people within their particular path, career path, have really expanded to other horizons, right? I mean, I think of so many stereotypes that I think people have had in the past about who folks within this particular career paths are, and completely missing how the incredible brilliance and the incredible business smarts and acumen that they have in moving forward. So this is going to be really exciting for me. So I'm totally going to geek out with you, Daryl, on this stuff, because I think we know that the market's out there. We know it's hot, right? I mean, just look at what Beyonce just announced, her tour,
Sure,
and
yeah.
people were like, listen, but she told me that I quit my job, so now I have to like mortgage the house so I can make it to the everything else that's behind her that's just so incredible, and her brand is so powerful that she doesn't need much, right, to mobilize people. So it's just absolutely fascinating. So let's get into it a little bit, if we may. Let's talk a little bit about who do you think are truly the biggest celebrities in the business today?
As far as like building their brands overall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, okay. So my favorite person to talk about, because it's like a story that honestly, like if I could have a trajectory of a career, would be Byron Allen. Because if you look at someone like Byron Allen, who started off as a comedian, TV personality, who has now moved on to be a huge business mogul. And I mean, he literally has started his own company, Entertainment Enterprises, and he has built a $800 million business, and what seems like overnight, but he has been grinding away for years. I mean, I love his story because of the fact that he was saying that, at one point he realized he wanted to syndicate his own personal show after being a comedian and an actor and appearing in a lot of things. And he said he would wake up every morning at 5:30 in the morning so he could get ahead of the East Coast time. And he would call these local stations and pitch his shows, and he was saying that everyone would hang up on him. Like he said he called like 1,500 places, and out of 1,500 places, eventually 150 people said yes. And once those yeses started, we see where he is now. I mean, he's producing over 60 shows. He owns the Weather Channel. I mean, come on, the Weather Channel. So his story to me is like something that I think is just everyone should just inspire themselves for greatness, because you can't put yourself in a lane and stay in that lane. He obviously didn't, and we see where that has turned into a lucrative career and business for him. So he's probably one of my favorite people to talk about.
Thank you so much for sharing also kind of like that, a little picture of the journey, right? I think our relationship with celebrities is within this particular social media, right, ecosystem, which or just media in general, right? Because it's just so much of the business is, managing the media as well. And we oftentimes miss, right, that while we may be exposed to them, to their music continues to live on, that there are times, right, behind the scenes of all of that, that there's a lot of work that's happening in other areas outside of just what we might see, right, with them. Are they any additional celebrities that you've, Byron's is so inspirational. Are there any others that you can think of that have transitioned from lack of a better word, of that traditional Hollywood, big hitter persona to a more of this like incredible powerhouse?
Yeah, I mean, I look at someone like Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan obviously came from sports,
I love Michael.
We know him as a TV personality, but now he has his own suit line. He has a very lucrative deal with JCPenney's. He's putting on a new suit line as well with Men's Warehouse. And his brand keeps building, and yes, he came from the sports arena, but we've seen how he's transitioned into also another business mogul. You look at someone like a Rihanna, who is not just a singer, you look at a lot of these people, and if you look at where they started to where they're at now, you may not guess that they're going to turn into these huge business moguls. Rihanna is another one. She obviously is a musician, but now she has Savage Fenty X, which is one of the top fashion brands out there. The list goes on and on and on. You look at a Kim Kardashian. Even Kim Kardashian has Skims, and she just now recently opened up her own entrepreneur schools that she's with Sky Media, Sky Ventures, that she has started to look at entrepreneurs and help them out. And those are just some of the stories of just these celebrities that have built their brands and extended them all the way to this greatness. I always go back to like one great case study is like a Michael Jordan, if you look at him, because he to me is also another one who obviously started off in sports, but has built his brand with the partnerships with Nike and has just expanded it to so high that he doesn't even have to work for the rest of his life. Obviously, they're saying now that he still gets $100 million per year from Nike alone, just off of his lucrative deals. Right. So listen, there is a lot of money out there. There's a lot of opportunities. Brands have taken advantage of these things. I mean, we look at fashion, we look at the skincare lines, we look at the spirits brands, and celebrities are taking advantage of that. Recently Ciara, singer Ciara, she went from this, being 18 and having a deal with a record label to starting her kind of fashion lane to also now she has her own skincare line, OM, and it's continuing to go that way for a lot of celebrities that are going, especially the skincare line route. And I think that it's just like such a lucrative business that once you get your name and kind of people identify who you are, then it's easier to build off of that and create your brand. I mean, we also look at like Serena Williams, who just started her Will Perform brand, which is to help athletes with their muscle pains, and it's now available on Target. And it's just, these are things that are extending already what we know her for, which sports, but she's extending that to even more greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Michael Jordan. I think that's, when I was, preparing for our time together, I was thinking, who's a celebrity that I remember so distinctively that started with that? And Michael Jordan was actually that for me, that I remember so clearly, the whole deal with Nike, the shoes and everything, because of course, this human just could fly. And then so that's one of the people that I never forgotten, that was kind of some within my very initial exposure of realizing, oh, look at this. This is absolutely amazing. And I love how so many of them have also they haven't just joined, the beauty trend or the fashion trends, that so many of them really came in and really started answering. Like I think of Rihanna, started to really answer to the consistent failure of real beautiful skin tones for makeup, that got into all sorts of different shades and different shapes of sexiness with the clothing. I mean, she just kind of kicked that door and was like, get out the way. If you are not going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I think that that's just so incredibly powerful too. That also is part of their story. Dario, Absolutely. We have a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to add to that as well. Yes, like Rihanna is great because she's changing what beauty looks like. And I appreciate that, because it's not just the old school way of thinking of one size. This is like, she caters to all women, all shapes, all sizes. She recently had comedian Lunel hired her as one of her models for the brand, and that is huge. You know, Lunel is a 60-plus-year-old woman, and she is now one of the faces for Savage Fenty X, which is fantastic.
It's just so sexy and so fantastic and so needed, right? Daryl, it looks like we have a question from the audience. What lessons can be learned from the successes and failures of celebrity business empires?
Well, I would say the success is figuring out what brand caters to what you've already started to build. I think that a lot of the celebrities are taking things that the ones who are the most successful are taking things that they are really passionate about and really love, and building off of that. Like Issa Rae, who wanted to create a hair product for Black women because she felt like a lot of the products that were out there weren't really catering to all types of hair. So she created her own brand in that sense. So I think you see that celebrities are creating these brands and building off of brands of things that they're passionate about. Michael Strahan is another one, because he wanted men to look their best, no matter what size you are, no matter what weight you are, no matter what your look is, how tall you are. He wanted to create a suit line that catered to men, that they could look good in all shape, forms, and sizes. So I think that those are some of the successful stories of seeing how a celebrity takes something that they're passionate about and builds off of that. Lenny Kravitz just recently launched his tequila brand because he loves tequila, you know? So, I mean, hey, listen, I love tequila too, but, you know, so it's like building off of that and just going and really understanding, you know, what your audience and what your fans may look at you for to make that successful. Now, I would say, as far as some things that we've also seen that have sort of been a backfire for certain celebrities, I would use Kanye West for this example.
He came to mind immediately.
Yes, you know, I mean, listen, I'm a Kanye fan. I love his music. I think that he is tremendously smart. I think that he has also been able to extend off of his music and his brand and build this entire empire. But we also, if you have been reading anything in the news in the last 6 months, you also know that some of the more political things that he's expressed has also hurt his brand, and some of his outspokenness has hurt his brand. His deal with Adidas was about to make him a billionaire, and because they cut ties with him, it took him back to a millionaire. He's worth now $400 million versus being worth $2 billion. So I think that those are things that people can learn from, that yes, you are a celebrity, and yes, you're building your brand, but you also have to be very careful of how you are perceived in the media, because that can backfire on you and be hurtful for what you're trying to build.
Absolutely. And the reality is that even their celebrity status doesn't protect them from the failure. I mean, they're still human beings, still navigating. They might have some more access, maybe a larger pool of network in certain ways, but that still doesn't necessarily promise that they will not fail, right? That they won't be making certain missteps along the way, you know, in any way. And we certainly have seen it, unfortunately, with Kanye, who I think is can be very brilliant and has had some really challenging moments in terms of kind of where he's at.
Yeah, and I think that he could bounce back from it. Yes, I do think that he still has plenty of time to bounce back from it. It's just a matter on how he moves forward, you know, and only time will tell, as we all will be watching.
Yeah, and that will tell the story, right? And talk about the world watching, right? Because when celebrities make any kind of failure or any kind of mistake, as everybody from here at Timbuktu knows about it. Yes. Right. And it's on repeat and forever living kind of a thing. So it's a little bit of a challenge for sure. Especially so I know we've go ahead.
Oh, especially now with social media and just, you know, you can't make too many mistakes.
No, I'm an 80s child. So there was a lot that I was very grateful that didn't make it, you know, out there that I'm finding out now, right? But yeah, there's just it's a lot, and it's constant through that process. So I know we've talked a little bit about this, especially with Rihanna, but I'm wondering if you might have even another celebrity that kind of have created their own category that has not only created this, but it also has opened up opportunities for others. Kim Kardashian was one of them that you talked about. So are there others that may be worth mentioning as well?
Yeah, Kim Kardashian obviously is one. She has Skims. She's created this, this entrepreneur school that she also has. But then I look at someone like, it's funny. There's someone who he's not necessarily well known yet fully, but Charles King from Macro. Charles King is a former agent who has now turned the CEO and creator of Macro, which has produced unbelievable projects such as Fences, for example. And he has a very lucrative deal with a variety of different networks and movie studios. And I think that he's building a lot of opportunity for African-American actors and producers. He's someone who I definitely think is someone we need to keep our eye on. He's right there at that celebrity status, but he's not like necessarily a household name, but he's someone I'm predicting in the next few years will be a game changer for everyone. I look at someone like a Will Packer, who is a producer, he's produced many of our favorite movies and TV shows and has a lot of lucrative deals. He did the Oscars last year, but he's opened up opportunities for other writers and producers and actors for people of color. So I think that he's someone else who exemplifies greatness and Black excellence as far as building and helping pave the way for careers for people of color. I also look at someone like I look at like a Serena Williams as well, because she is creating her brand, but she's opened up opportunities for others, women of color, to also, she supports a lot of Black businesses and women businesses. So she's opened up that opportunity for this window of greatness for other women to succeed. Oprah is another one. We have Oprah who has obviously created her brand, but she opens up her brand to greatness for other people of color and women specifically. She is just someone who I think is just the epitome of giving back and allowing others to build off of that and to create their own greatness.
Yeah, I mean, Oprah, she wrote the book.
She wrote the book.
She wrote the book. Seriously, like the rest of us are just working our way, through it. But it's just amazing, right? What she's been able to do. And that also within her being a celebrity as well and becoming that she's also reminds us consistently, like Serena and others, that there's room at the table for everybody, right? Like, even if there's like if your passion is beauty, if your passion is fashion, if your passion is whatever that may be, that there's room at the table, for you, that there's always some creative juices that haven't been explored yet, that there's something in there for everybody. And they certainly have helped remind us of that.
Yeah, and another one of my favorites, actually, as you're saying that, is LeBron James, because who had a big night, yesterday.
Sure did.
I'm gonna, give claps to that. But LeBron is not just an athlete; he's obviously an entrepreneur and a businessman. But he opened up his own production company and built projects and has hired a lot of executives who are African American and people of color, and are building projects where he's hiring obviously people of color and giving them opportunities. And he even opened up his own charter school in Cleveland that has been very, successful. And he's another one, I think, is that he's built a brand that has opened up a lot of opportunities for others. And he's very open to others coming in and building off of that as well.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much to talk about LeBron. I think he's just absolutely incredible. Tom Brady too, right? Kind of created his own and then some. So we have quite a bit of examples of that kind of going around. So we have a question from the audience. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to build their own business?
The first thing I would do is look at someone who you would like to build your trajectory similar to theirs. You know, mentorship is very important. So I think that a lot of times to build something, you have to look at someone maybe who is at the place of where you want to be at. So then you have kind of like your, I call it your skeleton box. So you can have something, a structure that you can build off of, that you can move forward with. So I would definitely say looking at people that you admire, or that you see your story similar to their story, is a great way to start your business. Another thing is network. I can never say that enough. Network. You know, don't be afraid to use social media to reach out to people. There's so many people that I've looked up to. Byron Allen is actually one of them. I reached out to him, his team, one time through social media, and ended up having a pitch meeting with him. So, you know, don't be afraid to use social media and LinkedIn to find people that you want to reach out to, and have your ideas ready for a meeting with them. Always stay ready. That's another thing. Stay ready for any opportunity that comes in front of you, because if you're not ready, you don't want to blow your chance. So that's another thing too. Always staying ready when that opportunity comes in front of you, because it will come in front of you as you push forward and really go after what you want. I think those are top three things. Those are the top three things I think are as far as like kind of starting your path on getting to what you want in your business. But really reviewing and looking at someone who you admire and who you want to kind of form your business like. I think that's so helpful as far as like building your structure.
Yeah, something that came to mind as you were talking was kind of like, be ready, right, on, you know, when the opportunity comes, and also be ready to understand that sometimes the initial opportunities that come your way may not look the same way you expected them to look, right?
Yes.
That it could be different versions, maybe different stages, you know, to it. So also be ready for that, right? That it might not come packaged exactly the way that you envision. But really be ready to critically look at, what would this opportunity take me to get closer to that, right? Because that's also just as important in the process.
I agree 100%. It's interesting that you say that, because there's been opportunities that I've received that it didn't look like what I had put on in my mind of what it should look like. But you have to also take advantage of those things, because like you said, it could open up an opportunity to something even greater that you didn't even see. Just how you have it in your mind that like, okay, I'm one of those people that I see it. That's what I feel like it should look like. It's almost like I used to have a tunnel vision with it.
Yeah.
Then the problem with that is that you could be missing out on all these other things, or shutting down these other things, or missing out on a blessing because of the fact that you had such tunnel vision. So you have to be open. There's a prime example is one of the shows that I work on currently right now. You know, it's interesting because I didn't see, I used to see the show. I never saw myself necessarily on this show, because of I saw myself as one direction to the right, and this show was sort of to the left. But by doing this show, it actually opened up opportunities for those things to the right. So it's like, you know, you got to be very open with whatever the path is that is in front of you.
Yeah, and I think that you know, that is we get practiced at that, right? Because we can be very ambitious and excited and have very particular notions, and it's not that people are letting go of, you know, their idea, their passion, or that it's become negotiable. What it is that journey might have different starting points that could be pretty powerful places to begin with. So I think that's amazing. What I would say, I know that we're getting close to time. I will ask one more question and see if there's any more questions from the audience, for sure. But what does this all mean for the business world? I mean, it's like, this is not business as usual, right? I mean, far from it. What does this mean? What do they need to be ready for, right? Like, we need to be ready.
We need to be ready. I mean, here's the thing. I think that we're in the best place for opportunities, because we've seen with fashion, with spirits, with skincare lines, that these celebrities are building these brands and they're making so much money and building so much money for these particular categories. I mean, I have some statistics here that I found like astonishing. They were saying for the beauty market, the global beauty industry market size is set to be worth $571.1 billion in 2023, by the end of 2023. $571.1 billion. I mean, just astonishing, right? The fashion industry, recent estimates show that total sale figures for 2023 are forecast at $494 billion. That's according to Forbes.com. For spirits, wine and spirits market size is projected to reach multi-million dollars by 2029, and the global skincare products market is accounting for $141.8 billion by the end of 2023. So obviously these brands,
Come on.
I mean, they're making their money. So I also think that as people are building their own brands and their own business, you have to look at those numbers and see where your particular business fits in with this. You know, how do you create your own niche? You know, what sets you aside from all these other brands? I think that's also really, really important to think about as you're building your brand. What sets you aside? But, you know, what works? We know that skincare works. We know that fashion works. These are things that are never going to die, you know, but what makes you different and sets you aside? I think that certain celebrities have found, you know, their way of kind of creating their own little niche. Like we mentioned a Rihanna, or we look at like a George Clooney. I mean, George Clooney, you know, he made they're saying an estimated $1 billion off of his deal with Casamigos, you know, so, you know, it's what sets you aside from others. But we see that these business plans are working for celebrities. So take that and build that into your own specialty niche that you can create and make your own money.
I love it. People, this is a comma, not a period to this sentence. Much more to continue to discuss along the way. We're really hoping that those who are here with us and those who will be watching later really have some really powerful takeaways and get inspired to know that the money's there, your creative juices are there, and the world is ready for you, even though it may not be, maybe they're not ready for you, but who cares? Go for it, do it. I think it's pretty powerful. Daryl, such a pleasure to hold space with you today. Such a pleasure. Wish you the best as we move forward through the world, and really want to thank everybody who has been with us during this time, and want to turn it over to those who are helping us make an elegant transition.
It is my pleasure to be part of that transition, friends. Thank you, Ada and Daryl. Daryl, how can our listeners stay in touch with you?
Please follow me on my social media, or DM me if you have any questions. It's all my social media is my name, Daryl Kristen. So I love questions. I love you know, reaching out. Please feel free to reach out to me. That's the best way to find me, and I'll answer any of your questions that you may have.
Awesome. We're looking forward to that. And congrats on snagging up your name on all the platforms. You got in early, you got in quick.
I got in early.
You got to do it. You got to do it. It's hard.
Well, I got to give it to my parents for giving me an interesting spelling that no one else has the spelling of my name. So it's pretty easy.
That helps. That helps. Thanks, parents. Appreciate that. Okay, Daryl, thank you so much for making the time today. And we hope to have you back.
Thank you. I would love to come back. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care now.